Ollie, welcome to the podcast.
You alright?
Finally your turn. How was your holiday?
It was lovely, thank you, yeah. Very apt.
Where else did you go?
Turkey.
Nice. And what, you was there for 2 weeks?
One week.
Missed two of our games.
Yeah, but I heard it on the comms.
On the commentary. No, it's been a good start to the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I'm surprised, really. Well, not surprised, but obviously with a new team coming in, totally different squad, barely anybody from last season. I couldn't see us gelling so quickly like we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, especially that game at Tadcaster away. I speak to Sam about it on the radio a lot, but like when I watched that and it was like that's 2 weeks till the season starts, so I was like, this isn't going to be very fun this season, but it's 180-degree turn at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I was sat with the directors that day. I stood with them on the sides and we were all looking at each other thinking, oh good God, what have we got ourselves into? But no, it's a funny one pre-season. We've never really had a good pre-season for the last however many years. We always seem to struggle and then start. We've started quite well, I think, in the last few seasons, but not as well as we have done so far. No, it's been great. There's been lots of surprise. I don't know, these performances where you just think, I don't know where that's come from. Like from since the friendlies, comparing it to now.
Who you been most impressed with so far?
I think Nicky Rowe was always going to be stable, sort of sturdy midfield player in the middle. He's caught my eye because he's one of those players that just does the jobs that he doesn't really get much credit for in terms of scoring goals or whatever. But he's been a sturdy figure, and I think I can't really put anyone else. Really, they've all been fantastic. Ollie's stepped up. I was not worried about Ollie, but obviously he's always had Jono next to him, and now he's sort of stepping up as the main man really at the back, and he's looked imposing. Mo again, obviously had that penalty last week, but he's looked really good. Andy Holes, I
can't fault them so far.
Couldn't say anyone stood out over anyone else. They've been fantastic.
Obviously we got Kidderminster today as well. This will be after the Kidderminster game, but what were you looking forward to today's one? Or
yeah, because I've missed the last two, which is quite rare for me. I never really miss a game. It's usually my dad booked the holiday. I was like, what have you done that for? But I think they're in a bit of a sticky situation. They've changed owners. Some of the fans seem a bit disgruntled. So I mean, if we play like we've been doing so far, I can't see us losing many home games here if we keep it up.
Definitely, that's what we need to improve from last season as well. We barely won at all. Was it 2 games? I think we won.
Yeah, we were getting. There was a couple towards the end, 5-0s, and
it's just getting embarrassing at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I think with the fans as well, when you're seeing that week in week out, you don't really think because I don't pay. I'm a stadium announcer, but if you're paying £12 every week to come in and just not performing and we're leaking goals left, right, and centre, it can be. We don't have a big fan base as it is, so it can
start killing.
I was always worried, will they come back next year? But it seems I was only here for the Bradford game, but I think Monday night was a really good atmosphere apparently.
Yeah, no, it was
quite a lot in here, so
definitely positive.
Keep it up,
I've never really asked you about how have you actually got involved with Curzon? Because I know like obviously your dad's involved. And he's vice chairman now, but like going back to how you originally got involved.
Back in the day, so I'm 22 now, so about 20 years ago, my uncle Gary, who was on the podcast last week, he was managing at Woodley Sports Centre, now Stockport Town. And I don't know which way around it was. It was either Woodley won the league and Curzon came second, or the other way around. But they both got promoted. And then I think Curzon sacked the manager for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So Gary took the Curzon job, and obviously my dad was taking me to watch Woodley with. I think my dad. I don't know if he was helping out then, but he helped my uncle out on the bench. A bit like Rory now, helping set out the cones and stuff and filling things up and doing things like that. But so he just always brought me to the game since then, and then back at the old ground, which was, from what I can remember, was just an amazing little non-league stadium. Me and Benito, who's Gary's son, he's still around the club now. I think he works in the office. We'd just go every game, home and away. There was a little sandy AstroTurf pitch in the stadium. I say stadium, it wasn't really. It was the National Park ground, and we'd probably get in about 1 o'clock, and we'd leave the AstroTurf about 6, and we'd just play 6 hours constantly playing football. We never watched the games up until I was about a little bit older. So yeah, done all that at National Park. We came here, brand new stadium, and I think when we moved here I was about 8.
Yeah.
So, and I was starting to watch the games and get involved a little bit more, and it was just because thinking back to the old ground, there was like the bar stools in the bar, they all had holes in and foam falling out of them, and it's just an unbelievable. I think back how lucky we are to have it. Really, it's because if you look at all the other clubs in Tameside, there's some good grounds, but Ashton is falling apart. Really, Mosley is a really old-fashioned ground, but this is just
compared to them state of the art, isn't it?
Yeah. Even in this league, it's probably. I know there's some big
this
teams.
This would hold up in the football league.
I think
we probably need a few more. Actually, I don't know if you would.
I think we need toilets on the far side.
And other than that,
more cameras. But other than that, I think it's fab. But yeah, so we moved here in 2005, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I used to stand behind the goals. There was me, Benito, Gemma, the snap bar
really?
Gemma. She used to, and we'd all be there in our cousin top, hat, scarf, singing behind the goals, 3 of us. And
you could tell us bring up good memories to you.
It does, yeah.
Massive grin on your face.
It does. And it's crazy to think how we've come so far in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Because obviously my uncle was manager at the time, and it was different because I remember we had a really good side. We had a lot of good sides over the last 10 years, but we had some really good players back then. I know Birchie that was on the podcast with Gary, Mickey Norton, Adam Jones, who's at Mosley now.
Who was your favourite when you was growing up?
When I was growing up, obviously Mickey Norton was like the Wayne Rooney of Curzon, and he scored all the goals. But me and my dad, I think we're always quite known for sort of liking sort of players that no one else really fancies. And there was a striker called Stevie Moore, who played with Mickey up front, and one season they got 101 goals between. I think Mickey got 50.
It was something ridiculous.
Mickey got 51, Morsey got 50. But Morsey was just... I've always listened to my dad growing up, like football-wise, so we always liked the same sort of players, but he was quite lazy, so no one really took to him that well, but he just had that, a bit like Berbatov, that sort of lazy style, but he scored goals for fun. So yeah, Morsey was a cracker. James Aguirre in midfield. I don't know if you'll have seen, I struggle to see the footage now, but when we played Exeter in the FA Cup,
I think I have seen it actually.
Yeah, on here.
Yeah.
He scored an absolute. He never scored. He'd shoot and it'd hit corner flag or go out for a throw, and he never scored. And he just hit this one from about 30 yards, and it did the keeper, and it was just incredible. But
we'll get onto like the FA Cup and stuff in a bit. But like, obviously, you've been here for ages. But how did you end up? What was it? Just because obviously you did a stadium announcement.
Yeah.
Was that just?
So I mean, I do all sorts, really. It's weird to think. It's crazy to think, because I've never really had a role or I just sort of take on responsibility for things and just end up doing all sorts. But the stadium announcement was a funny one, really, because Roy in the club shop, he used to do it ever since I can remember, and I don't know, for whatever reason he packed it in, and Gemma took over. Snap bar Gemma, she's coming up a lot.
I didn't realise she was that involved with it.
Yeah, she did. Well, we used to go all over. Gemma was like a proper fan, but then she took on snap bar stuff. But I think she did it for about half a season, and then went on holiday for 2 weeks. I think I was 15. I was doing it for 7 years, the announcing.
Oh, you was that young?
Yeah. It's funny to think, actually, if you look back at some videos on YouTube. Like there's one where I think we played Droyles in the Manchester Cup. Must have been one of my first ones. Oh, and I listened back, it was awful, terrible.
Yeah.
But she went on holiday for 2 weeks, and I don't know if she asked me, and I just said, yeah, I'll do it, show me how it works. I think Roy showed me how to do the music and stuff. And I just thought, yes, I love this. And I'd be practising in the shower, and I tried to make myself sound like the guy at Old Trafford.
Yeah. Did you ever have like any disasters on it?
Oh, there's been all sorts.
Yeah. Do you ever like the one that you think about and you're like?
There was one I don't know what it. I wasn't saying a team. It was something like the fixtures and something. But I just totally mumbled my words, and I just couldn't get it back. And I just had to stop. I ended up giggling, and then I was going out over the tannoy. And then a couple of times a season, every now and again, my phone will be plugged in. Someone will ring me, and my phone will play, like the ringtone will play. And I also, there was an old Now CD, now 60 something, I don't know, and it had, do you remember Peter Kay when he did that Woman? I can't remember what it was, one of them talent show things, and Geraldine, that were it, and I had this CD on, and it was the last song on the album, and I just nipped to the loo, and I just got chatting downstairs, and I came out, and this song that Peter Kay had done, this Mickey Take song, was just playing around the stadium, and I thought, oh no, I had to run up and change it. But no, I've had all sorts of problems on there, but it's a funny. I just try and get, because everyone texts Mick and says, oh yeah, put this funny voice and all that, but I just try and get us a little bit more
professional,
geared up in the mains, because our main stand, I think, is quite morbid sometimes. It's very.
Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't the other night.
Well, I think it might be me.
It's getting better, especially this season. I've noticed it like the start of this year.
I don't know. We're a funny football club in our fan base is really, because
there's lots of different parts to it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. There is.
We've got obviously the younger lads that have like started coming, and they make their noises.
And that's great to see, because that's
100%. Yeah.
Well, me being, because I was one of them younger lads, and like 6-7 years ago, that was me with my mates, and I've sort of stuck around, but everyone else is. That's another thing with our fan base. It's, if you look back to 5 years ago, there's not many people that were coming then that do now. Yeah. And you think our attendances, they have risen slightly, but they're still around that sort of 250 mark in terms of our own fans. Mm-hmm. But what people don't see is they're all quite new fans. If you look around our main stand now and asked everybody, were you here 5 years ago? They probably weren't here. There's me, Karen, Roy, the sort of hardcore bunch that have always gone home and away, but we have made a lot of progress in terms of new supporters.
Obviously, because you're very. What is your role in terms of the? I know you said you don't have one, but like you're involved with like the fan sort of like. Yeah, so you're not supporter liaison, but you're sort of like you are that.
We used to. Me and Karen again. I was probably about 17, 18. We started. No, I was younger than that actually. About 16. We set up a supporters club because we never really had one, just to sort of try and pull everyone together on the same sort of page. And we got about 55 members the first year. They paid like a tenner to get involved, and we had meetings and we put things forward to the board. Obviously, because my dad was a director, so it was easy for me to sort of act as a middleman. So we set that up, and we did it for about 4 years, and it was quite successful really. It was good, but you can't please everybody, and that's a big thing I was struggling with. I went to uni, and
of course. Yeah.
Well, I went to Sheffield.
Sorry, I just on off. Actually, no. Do you know what? We'll come back to university stuff. Carry on with the support stuff.
So it's being that middleman. It's you get suggestions from one end, pass it on to the other.
Yeah.
The board here are fantastic. They take on so obviously there's things they can't do and things they disagree with, but in terms of me asking for things, and they're always.
Oh, that's the same with me as well. Like, if I go to them or something, they're always like taking it on board.
And I think I keep going off topic, but it's. I think they do get a lot of sticking at times. I think. I think it's particularly after John left and stuff like that, and I think what people don't realise is that none of them get paid. Yeah.
They do.
A lot of them put money in. It's like my dad and John Klein and Wayne. It's.
Thing is, these 50 quid sponsors here and there. They rack up pretty quickly. Yeah. Don't they? So.
And they get a lot of. I don't know. I think they try their best. Obviously, my dad and Wayne are quite vocal and out there with the fans, and they get involved. But it's nice to see now. I think in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, the board's changed quite a lot from. Sort of the older end, and it's now sort of a new era starting to come in. There's Donna's on there now, Paul McHugh, some younger. I say younger, older than me, but it's just a bit more of a diverse board of directors now. Yeah. I think it's good
approach,
too. Yeah.
But that's what you need, isn't it? But
Yeah.
like, I think you're right. Like, the difficult thing with our fan base is hard to grow it when you've got like the likes of Man City and Man United and stuff. The difficult thing is like getting people to come.
Yeah. That's been our problem, and it's that another thing. It's getting people, or particularly the board and other fans, to understand that when you're out on the front line, when you actually go into the town centre, like I've done with Karen and the other fans,
which you do a lot as well, don't you?
Yeah, and we door knock, etc. It's really hard to sell what we have, because I get really frustrated. I think we do all this stuff, we offer all these incentives, and you just can't. You literally can't give tickets away. And I think one of it's obviously I'm very passionate about the club, and it's been my life. I've grown up with it.
Yeah.
I can't understand why anyone else can't have that same sort of passion and sort of love for it that I do, and it's hard to get across like what it actually is, because
I think the difficult thing is like trying to get people here, but once you come to the ground and like you experience it, like
well, that's
for what
the
it
thing.
is,
a lot of people
you get
think
sucked into it.
it's
Like
a
that's happened to
field.
me as well. Like
Yeah.
I came last season just to help out, and then I just got drawn into it so much because of like the way it's run and just everything about it.
That's really interesting, because that's something that over the years, seeing different people come and go, and they always say you get sucked in. It's like it's like a bug for it, and it's just I just wish, and it may happen this season. I don't know. We're trying the same things over and over again, and we really do our best, but we do get 250 regular fans who have come over the last 5 years. So there's no reason why we can't get another 250.
Yeah,
it's just
getting them in for the first time, isn't it?
And then getting them to stick around. Obviously, the admission's gone up, which on face value doesn't really help, because people just, if they look, they think, oh, £14.
Don't know
that's
the
a lot of
reasons
money.
behind it as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we have got a lot of incentives, and we've got a lot of.
It's like if you buy a season ticket at the start of the year, and obviously like it's difficult just to get anyone random just to buy a season ticket, but you end up saving 50% of what you actually end up paying anyway. So,
but we will struggle. We've got City United, Stockport, Salford, all the Tameside teams, but at the same time, would I want us to have 1,000 fans, and would that change the feeling of the club and how it is? But if we're going to progress, I think that needs to be our main target, really.
Yeah, it depends what we do, because for you, what would be, because obviously you've watched this in the FA Cup, which we'll talk about in a second, but like, what would be is the conference what you think is like a realistic thing, or do you think it can go?
No, I'm not. I really, it really gets on my nerves when people say, I think FC United are sort of the main culprits for this. They say, it don't matter what league we're in, we just want to watch. Like, I'm a win. I hate losing.
Yeah. No one's ever going to say they don't want to win the league.
Well, exactly. So. But it's one of those. I think we got far too used to just accept, because we were always very successful with my Uncle Gary. We were always in the playoffs every year. Never quite got the promotion, but we're always the team to beat. With John, we were always in the playoffs or getting promoted. And I think once we got into this league, it was a sort of
felt like
the little Curzon Ashton vibe that everyone says.
A small fish in a big pond.
Yeah, and it we were, and we still are, but
not so. The thing is, I don't think it's to the extent of what it would have been when we first come into the league. Obviously, I wasn't here then.
Yeah. Well, we're established conference now, the team now.
Yeah.
But we were just getting into that attitude and mentality of, if we stay up, it's good enough. Because if you say that to the players, if we stay up, we'll be happy. The players, they don't have no pressure on them. They'll go through the motion, because they know that if they stay up, it's a success, and it's not.
I think that's why we had to have this like clear out of players.
Yeah.
Nothing's going. No, and that's no disrespect to any of them from last season or anything, but it's very unlikely. I know we saw like what happened to Leicester, but you have a team that struggles a lot of the time that are then going to turn into a side that just wins.
Yeah, it was
everything out.
It was the end of an era, and it was the most successful era we've ever had as a club in terms of what we achieved and the double promotion and like those players will always go down. Like, I like to think in 50 years I'll still be around, and I won't forget that group of players and what they did for this club.
Yeah,
and John Flanagan and Nev and all the coaches that have been it, because it was I think it put us on the map really in terms of Curzon as a club. And Jono, Rooney, I've just wished them all good luck today. Ryan Brook, Niall, they're legends, aren't they? But
Yeah.
it was just getting to the stage that every year we had a very successful team that went up from the evil sick North, which was 2 leagues below.
Yeah.
And we kept that squad together. And we had Alex Brown, Matty Warburton, who's just gone into the Football League now.
Scored for Northampton the other night, yeah.
And I think over the last 4 years, we'd just lose one and then lose another, and the players we were recruiting were just nowhere near up to the same standard.
That's the difficulty we have to try and fight. Obviously, we've got a few more players on contract this year, but when we're at this level, and it happens to other clubs as well, like the Football League clubs can just come and cherry pick, can't they?
Well, yeah, and recruiting players as well, which I think Mark, I don't know what he's saying in the negotiations, but because the problem is now players will come, and they're average players. They're not. I'm not talking about our squad now. I just mean players around this division. They're not that good, but they're because Salford are spending 2-3 grand a week per player in the league above, filters down, and every other team then has to offer that little bit more, and it gets down, and players are coming here asking for however much, 400 or 500, and you're like, well, we just can't afford that. So it's so difficult to recruit, and I just think Mark, looking at some of the names he's brought in and the experience, and he's done a cracking job, really. His hats off to him, because I was worried.
Him and Will together,
they've got a lot of contacts, so which is good, and I think Will's been a breath of fresh air as well.
Yeah, I think he's brought a fresh approach to a lot of things as well.
We just look so professional. I watched training a couple of times. I quite like going down, and it's just a different. It's just more It just is more professional. Everything, the player tech gear they wear, and
the whole club, I think, has come on. It's especially over the summer as well. I think there was a lot of changes made.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of it had to be done eventually, sort of thing.
It's all very positive. You've done a cracking job. Obviously, Sid's come in on the commercials that Paul McHugh stepped up and done stuff. Wayne and my dad have sort of taken the reins a little bit, and Harry's sort of taken a bit of a step back, and it's just everyone's still around, but I don't know. It's just we've got a bit more direction. I think now, a bit more of an idea where we want to go, because there's no reason why we can't eventually be in the Football League. Like, there's so many teams that have done it. It's just
we've got the setup and everything.
We've got the setup,
the tram line outside, everything. Just
the academy. It's just my aim, and it always has been, is to get more people through the gate.
Yeah.
And I think if we push it enough, and I've spoken to the board about it loads of times, it's just the ideas are great. It's the actual facilitation of them that's a problem, and we just don't do enough to get into the community and get people, just let people know what's around, really. Yeah. But the more we do that, the more people that get involved, the more we're winning, the more media stuff that goes out there and videos and things, the more people will see it. There's no reason why we can't be getting 500-600 people down here every week. Yeah.
So you mentioned a minute ago, obviously, just away from Curzon for a second, but you went to university. Where did you go?
Yeah, I went to Sheffield.
Sheffield.
Yeah, did sociology.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing in that, because I used to get the mick taken out of me every weekend, because I'd come home on the Friday night to watch Curzon on the Saturday, and then go back on the Sunday.
I was going to say, did you miss any of the games?
Well, no, not really. There were a few midweekers that I struggled to get to, because I'd missed the coach.
Yeah.
But I probably missed out on a little bit at uni because of that, because Saturday night was the big going out night, really.
Yeah.
But it was a cracking 3 years. Loved it.
Yeah.
Met a lot of great people. Spread the word about Curzon around the country.
Trying to get us around, and obviously you're teaching now as well.
Yeah.
Was that something you always wanted to do?
It's a funny one. I all sorts I wanted to do. I always say my dream job would have been like CEO of Curzon Ashton Football Club, but I can't see that.
Do you know what I reckon? Obviously, if you're planning on being
you never know. In
everyone else in there seems to make their way through the ranks eventually.
Yeah,
so you never know.
But at the moment, I'm very happy, and I did finish school, finished college. Didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
Did sociology, because it's just quite an easy degree to get through. Really, it was a great 3 years, quite relaxed, and it just, I don't know, there was a lot of childhood modules and stuff around families and children, and I just thought, why not? I'd give it a go, and I went into a classroom one day and just just clicked with me, and it was fantastic. But it brings a lot of pressure and a lot of stress and less time, which I like to think I'll still keep my Saturdays with Curzon, but other than that,
yeah,
my life's gone now. I think for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, as long as you enjoy it anyway. So what else? We've got the famous FA Cup run. I say famous, but like our FA Cup run.
Yeah, I mean we've had
a few.
Everyone forgets Gary's run, and
I know, because you know what? I didn't know too much about this before I went into the podcast with him. Someone said to me, asking about the FA Cup run. I was like, what FA Cup run? Because it's not as recent.
I think me and my dad get a bit annoyed about this, because it in theory it was a better FA Cup run than we had. We should have been on telly. It was a travesty that they didn't put us on telly. We were the lowest ranked team. We were step 8.
Yeah.
Playing Exeter, who were like top of the League 2. And they went up that year. And I think everyone seems to forget, like, we actually won the game. Like at home.
It was summer year, wasn't it, as well? Because
there was.
Gary said he said when he turned up that day, like, because obviously they stayed at the Village Hotel, where that is, and he said, like, for that weekend, like, they felt like a professional football club, and like he couldn't believe it.
It was unbelievable. And I remember, you can see on the highlights, I was behind the goal. I think the first goal Chris Worsley scored, and you see me go across the back of it, giving it out to all Exeter fans. Only about 9, giving it out to all the fans. But that run was, and we played some decent sides. We beat Mosley here, and there was loads here for that game. And then we played Hinckley, who don't exist anymore, I don't think, but they were in the Conference North at the time, 2 leagues above.
Yeah.
And we went away there and we scored last minute, and me and Rob Hurst had a moment. We were just like hugging each other. I'd never hugged him in my life, and we like just went crazy. And then we came back here and won a penalty shootout after extra time, and then we played Exeter, and it was just, we were 3-0 up, like we were against Wimbledon, and then they got 2 back, and it was like, are we going to do it? And then it was one of them. We went to Kidderminster. We played. It's quite ironic actually playing them today, but and we took about 500 fans, if I can remember. It was a real day out with loads of us behind the goal, streak around on and everything. But that cup run was, I don't remember it as well as I do the last one, but I just think
it doesn't get enough credit.
It doesn't get it as, because in theory the cup run we had against Wimbledon was unbelievable, and again that team was to get that far and to get on telly, it was a great achievement. But we played some. We went to a replay in every round, and we were playing teams like 2-3 leagues below us, all the way up there. But no, it was a cracking day. I'll never forget driving down and seeing the Catter. I must have been here about 9 o'clock in the morning. I was so excited, and the BT cameras were everywhere, and it was just.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it were happening. I really, honestly,
our little club sort of thing.
Yeah, and I could hear my mic on the telly afterwards.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Because they did a minute of silence for that. Do you remember the plane crash in Brazil? The chap that went. So
was it that long ago?
Yeah. And it would just, obviously it went quiet. The commentator stopped speaking, and you could just hear my voice over the tannoy on live on telly doing like the minute silence like stuff. But no, best and worst day of.
I bet you can believe
honestly, the goals are going in, and I was reading one out, like goal scorer for Wimbledon, and then there was another one going in, and it was like, it's the worst feeling in the world, because you can see it happening and you can do nothing about it.
See, like, that's the worst thing. Like, I know how that feels. Obviously, I'm not a Curzon, but I support Wolves. When I was in the FA Cup last season, and we conceded in the last minute, and the whole of extra time, you can see it just completely just falling apart, and there's physically nothing you can do but just sit there. It's like torture, isn't it?
It went 3-3, and the Wimbledon, there was sort of a couple of their media guys were stood around, and I said, well, at least they'll go to a replay. We'll be in the draw. We could get like Old Trafford, and then they just scored again, and it was just surreal. It was a surreal, weird experience. I've cried quite a lot watching us, if I'm honest. But I just cried. I couldn't believe what was going on.
Yeah.
Mental. But I suppose it made us quite memorable, because everyone just says about that Curzon, they lost 4-3. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. But I think I'd love to speak to you more about stuff, but unfortunately we've got a game on today. So I've got work soon. I'm sure you've got plenty to do anyway. So, but thank you for coming on anyway.
Thanks for having me on.
And yeah, no, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Cheers, Ollie.
Cheers, Josh.